Good morning, everyone, and thanks for being with us this morning. My name is Karim Ludo. I'm a founder and CEO of Nucamp, and together with me is Ludo Fourage.
Hello, everyone.
Ludo is the other founder and the Chief Product Officer and also Chief Learning Officer of Nucamp. Again, thanks for being with us. We're going to spend about an hour together this morning. We'd like to spend the first 30 minutes or so to tell you more about Nucamp. We have a few slides that hopefully will be informative and help you make the right decision for your bootcamp. And then we will go to a Q&A in about 30 minutes. And so we encourage you to start putting in your questions in the chat box, and we will go through these questions just as we start our Q&A later. But again, feel free to start right away if you have things on your mind. I want to start just by articulating what Nucamp is all about. We have a social mission, which is really important to us, which is to help every aspiring career shifter to enter the digital economy, to get from whatever career path he or she is on into basically software development and have an opportunity of a better life through that. And the way we help make that happen is by offering the most affordable, the most local, and also the most flexible bootcamp program available out there. So how do we stack against the other offerings that are out there? I want to just dive into the options that are available to you and tell you a little bit more about why Nucamp is different. Many of you probably have already tried to learn to code through an online program. They're very flexible. You can really work at your pace on your schedule. There are no deadlines, which is somewhat of just a convenience. But there are really several major issues with these type of programs. There are no deadlines. It's hard to stay committed. It's hard to collaborate. It's hard to connect with other students that are in the same boat. And you have no support. You're basically on your own. And so while these programs are very affordable, they're sometimes even free, it's really hard to go through a complete curriculum as complex as a Fullstack program, for example, and stay committed and really succeed in acquiring all the skills you need to get a new job. Actually, the completion rates are in the low single digits. Some people say around 3%. I don't know how much it is exactly, but it's really hard to finish. And so really a lot of people start to look at alternatives, and the traditional alternatives today are really traditional boot camps. Those are full-time programs where basically you immerse yourself into these programs for anywhere between 3 to 5 months. They are great if you can commit the money to go to these boot camps, because they're on average $12,000, so it's pretty expensive. But they work great. They work great. However, if you have one available near you, if you are able to quit your job, if you have the money to do it, and they certainly will give you the support structure and sort of the depth of learning that you need to get a job. But again, unfortunately, this is not for everyone. And so this is really where Nucamp came to be when Ludo created the original idea and the structure. What we offer is a hybrid program, one that allows you to continue to work while you learn, but still keeps you motivated because you are on a schedule. You have a weekly set of deadlines that you have to go through. And you're also working with a support structure. You have an instructor to help you during the week online, but also, of course, in person or via video conference on the weekend. And then you're part of a group. You stay motivated with your fellow classmates in your bootcamp. Most importantly, we're way cheaper than the traditional boot camps, which makes it really much easier for people to commit to the program, especially with our installment, our payment plan. So we'll tell you a lot more about that, but this program has been really built from the ground up to be affordable, to be more flexible, to be local in your community, while still bringing you most of the benefits of the traditional boot camps. So a little bit about us and just Nucamp's history. We were founded in Washington State in 2017. We started there in 5 different cities, and we expanded to offer our boot camps across the US. We have registered so far over 1,500 unique students, launched over 100 boot camps. We have right now probably about 170 instructors that are here to help you. And on every weekend, we deliver more than 60 workshops across the US. So we have a pretty strong experience at this point. And we've have a truly tested operational model, but also a very tested curriculum, which Ludo will tell you a little bit more about. And that reflects into the student satisfaction scores that we get. We'll tell you a bit more about sort of student testimonial in a bit, but our overall rating on websites such as our course report is our 4.8. That's really ahead of competition, or in the top at least of the boot camps out there. So the offering really is twofold. We have an introductory boot camp, which is our web development fundamentals, which is really for people who have no past experience in coding and want to know what coding is about. It's a 4-week program. It covers all the basics that you will need as you start your journey into coding. And it really will help you get a feel for, do you like coding? Are you comfortable with it? Is that a type of activity that you enjoy? And then from there, you can decide whether you want to commit to an advanced boot camp. We have 2 of those, a front-end and mobile development, and then a full stack and mobile development. Which are really the boot camps that will give you the skills to get a job in the market. They are 17 weeks for the front-end one, 22 weeks for the full stack, and they go through the complete curriculum, again, giving you all the skills you need to basically apply for a junior level position in the industry. So the format that we offer, as I mentioned earlier, is a hybrid format, which means that during the week from Sunday to Friday, you work online on your own schedule. So you can work over your lunch break, in the morning, in the evening, doesn't matter. You go through video lectures, you will go through exercises. You also will progress on your project portfolio for the advanced boot camps. But you do that with support. You're not on your own. Your instructor, your dedicated instructor for the class, is available to you through chat. They usually either set up office hours or clarify when you can expect a response, but you should expect to have any sort of response within 24 hours. And basically that helps you get through the learnings of the week and prepare for Saturday. Saturday is really the important piece of the curriculum, where you get together with other students in a classroom format. That can be in presence at a workshop location in some cities, or it can be via video conference. Again, through screen sharing and our video conference system. You will go through a short recap of the learnings of the week with your instructor for probably about 45 minutes. And then you'll go through the Saturday assignment. That's really an important piece of just solidifying the learnings of the week. And that wraps up the skills that you've acquired that week, and then helps you move to the next week. It lasts 4 hours. It's from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. in whatever time zone you're in. And again, here, your instructor is available during the full workshop to help you go through your assignment. You'll submit your assignment, you'll get graded, and then you'll move on to the next week. So I talked a little bit about in-person workshops. These take place in over 25 cities today, and we're going to be opening more and more cities. And we hold the workshops in co-working spaces that we partner with. Those are usually co-working spaces that align with our social mission. So they typically, and also the type of activities that we do. So we like to find co-working spaces that have a software development or software developer community around them, that are embedded in the community, that host meetups. so that no, not only is it a nice place for you to be on a Saturday morning as you, take time off your weekend, you want to be in a setting that's appealing and that it helps you stay motivated, but more importantly, it's also a place where you will be able to connect with the local software development community, because that is really important as you start to prepare for your career move. So we talked about the curriculum, we talked about the workshop, but at the end of the day, the most important component of Nucamp is our instructors. We have awesome instructors, and I want to tell you a little bit more about them. So the first thing you should know is that they are active industry practitioners. They all work in the industry. They are not teachers, they're not professors. They have a full-time job, a part-time job in software development, or they are independent consultants building websites for customers. And that's really important because you will be learning from them not only the technical skills, but the technical skills applied to what's really going on in the industry and what's expected in the job market. So it's not an academic teaching style. It's a very practical, hands-on, job-oriented type of education that you are getting. The second thing you should know is that they're extremely passionate, and the reason they join Nucamp is because they want to give back. We compensate them, of course, but we don't compensate them lavishly. The reason they come to us is because they like our social mission. Many of them actually are part of meetups and do volunteering around helping others learn to code. And Nucamp is just an opportunity for them to do this with more impact, do this with sort of more scale. And you'll see that they will really be helpful, not only supporting you technically, but oftentimes they become a great resource to network into the local community. They'll give you tips, and they're part also of what is going to be important to you when you start to look for a job. And then finally, they're local. So that's really important too, compared to other online programs. Our instructors are deeply embedded in the community that you are part of. Again, that's really important when you start to think about networking. And that's just a way to make sure you're plugged in the job market wherever you are. The last thing that's really exciting about our instructors is just the richness of their background. And we have a very diverse group of instructors. You can find some instructors that are, working at, top software firms like Microsoft or Amazon, and just want to volunteer to help and do this on the side, despite their crazy busy full-time schedule. We have others that are actually independent consultants that actually have gone not through a computer science degree, but a coding bootcamp themselves, so they can really relate to your experience, and that's sometimes very helpful. And so you also have others that are working in startups or smaller companies. And through your bootcamp, your front-end or full-stack bootcamp, you will have 3 or 4 classes, and you'll get a chance to have a different instructor for each class of 4 to 5 weeks. And so you'll get exposed to those diverse backgrounds with your instructors. All right, well, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ludo to talk a little bit about what it means to be a web developer and then take you through the curriculum.
Yeah, thank you. So you'll join our bootcamps most likely because you want to, or you aspire to get a new career and really enter this industry of web development. And so I'll just start to describe to you what the prospects are and how you will become a web developer. First, by saying that our bootcamps are based on the #1 language out there, which is JavaScript, and it's been the #1 language for the last 5 years. There are other languages that are also rising in the industry, but you should know that by knowing JavaScript and attending our front-end or full-stack bootcamp, you'll be really well positioned to enter into the industry. We have data on the average salary for a junior web developer. This is the national average here, 70,000. If you go to your community page, you'll see exactly what the average for your community is. And that data we get from Indeed and ZipRecruiter. And we also have a lot of blog articles out there that really go deeper into that topic of how to transition from your current career to a web developer career. And so you can check out our blog for that. Now, what I want to do next is really explain to you how we're going to prepare you ultimately with the skills that are going to be needed to enter the job market. And so what you're seeing here on this slide is really a breakdown of the 3 bootcamps that Karim shared with you earlier. The very first bootcamp, the Web Development Fundamentals, is essentially to give you the basics and prepare you for the rest. That bootcamp will not be enough to get a job in the industry. It's only 4 weeks, and it really gives you the fundamentals, the basics of the technologies. It will be, though, enough to prepare you to join then the front-end or the full-stack bootcamps. And so we'll start at the very beginning with what students really enjoy the most, I would say. It's Bootstrap. And Bootstrap really allows you to create websites that are beautiful and dynamic, and I'll talk about it, what it means, in a very easy way. And you'll be actually surprised how quickly you are able to create a beautiful, responsive website at the end of this 5 weeks course. Now, what does responsive mean? It means that the website that you will be building with Bootstrap will look great, let's say, on a big TV screen. And then as the size of the screen reduces, let's say now a laptop or a tablet or phone, the elements on the page will just arrange themselves differently to respond to the size of the screen. And so typically the way you see it is things, as the screen size decreases, elements start to stack down, right? So they start to be vertically aligned versus more horizontally when you have a big screen. So that's Bootstrap. And as I said, a really great way to get into the more advanced bootcamps. The next phase of your learning experience is going to be to learn the #1 programming framework out there that was created by Facebook 3 years ago, and that's called React. Now, React is, I would say, in a way, the real deal. It's really the framework that's going to cement your knowledge. It's where you're going to start to learn how to make your website responsive and dynamic to data. So what I mean by that is you're going to be with React able to handle a shopping cart, for example. You're going to be able to display product information. You're going to be able to power a search and a search result. You're going to be able to allow users to fill a form and save that form. So all the things that are going to make a website dynamic based on data, based on a process that your business or the company that you work for wants to put in place, that's React. That's where you're going to learn how to implement that. So pretty significant element of the bootcamp, and one that will really anchor your learning and be your primary value proposition, I would say, to the industry as you search for a job. Now, with those two, we've only touched on web development, website development. The third one, React Native, is really giving you an opportunity to enter another huge market, which is building mobile applications. What I mean by that is building an app that people will be able to download on their iPhone or their Android device. And so that's really what React Native will teach you, how to actually build mobile application. But then there's a twist. That's actually quite a magical and amazing twist, which is you're not going to learn that in silo. What it does, actually, it's going to allow you to take everything you've learned before, Bootstrap and React, and everything you've learned about building the website, and actually package it and turn it into a mobile application. So the same code, the same approach, The same way that your website will be responsive from a big TV screen to a mobile device, you'll actually take into React Native to create actual real mobile application that will be published to the stores. People will be able to download them, pay for them, etc. So extremely powerful tool. Now at this time, you will have ended what we call the front-end bootcamp. And what does front-end mean? Well, that means that you will have learned everything that you need to learn to build user experiences, either for the web or for mobile devices. If you want to continue on with Fullstack, you'll then learn what we call the back-end side of things. And by the way, in the market, there are people that are just focused on building backends. People like myself, for example, who consider themselves not great at building web experiences, actually find jobs just working on the back end, the databases, storing the product information, storing the user information, managing the financial transactions in the back end. All of that will actually teach you in that last module. People who do everything will be called full stack developers. And what we like to say is, if you are thinking about an idea and you want to build your startup and you want to go out on your own, being a full stack is great, because you know you'll be able to do everything from beginning to end. Now let's talk about the projects. It is critical for anyone out there seeking a job in the industry to be able to demonstrate what they've learned through the projects that they've built. And so we're going to equip you with what we call a project portfolio, which means a series of multiple and different projects. There's a total of 3, but you can do more. And what's really unique about Nucamp is these projects are not going to be just a series of disconnected tutorials. These projects are going to follow the path that I just showed you. And every week, you're going to add features and complexity and depth to your project. So you're going to start with a responsive but static design with Bootstrap. And then you're going to add the dynamic and the data elements with React. And then you're going to turn it into a mobile app. And then you're going to add the backend to it. You're going to do that with what we call the learning project. So you're going to build, just like every other student, one project that will help you to learn. But then you're going to collaborate with other students to build your own projects. That collaboration is also critical, being able to demonstrate to a hiring manager or during an interview that you know as a developer how to collaborate in a team, and how to actually be part of a team of developers is going to be super important. So we're going to help you with that. Quickly on the bootcamp schedule, we're in a great spot, or you are in a great spot today, because we are still in the early bird season for registering to the next front-end and full-stack bootcamp. They're going to start on January 27th, and the deadline to have access to the early bird is January 13th. After that date, the prices will go up slightly. I mean, it's not a huge increase. It's like 10 to 15%. But obviously, if you're interested, you should certainly register before that date. I'll just make a mention that we're starting to see already boot camps that are starting on January 27th to actually be full. Like, we've reached our maximum of 12 students. It's actually happening in 6-7 cities right now. So if you see that, what we actually encourage you to do is just look 5 weeks ahead and register to the next one. As you can see here, the next front-end and full-stack bootcamps are starting on March 2nd. It's going to come very quickly as well. Now, you've heard Karim and myself a lot, and obviously we're very passionate about what we do, but we thought we share with you as well what other people are saying, and especially what a former student of ours is saying about Nucamp. It's a 1-minute video. We're going to play it right now, and we'll be right back with a little bit more on our success stories and then we'll switch into the Q&A. So we'll be right on time, 9:30, answering all the questions that I'm seeing actually right now in the chat window. All right, stay with us for this 1-minute video.
I wanted to look at a career opportunity that would be lucrative. And Nucamp kind of popped up, and I liked it a lot more than the other ones. I liked that it was more flexible. I didn't have to like quit my current job.
They're basically very student friendly.
And our instructor is awesome, Minay, and she's just really helpful, like really like above and beyond.
She's very helpful, and every time when I have a question, I can ask her and she can respond. The careers basically has no end. You can grow and grow.
I was really excited. Yeah, in fact, I mean, if anything, I was like wanting to do more.
But I really like the way it's been this hybrid learning process.
I love that. I love that it's during the week, because I wouldn't have been able to do it if I had to meet every single day. So I love that I can find childcare on Saturdays, and the rest of the week it's online. But yeah, sometimes I'm like doing my homework and I get all excited. I'm like, this could be my life. So it's kind of cool.
All right. You can read more about testimonials on Course Report. SwitchUp is another site where students are putting their reviews. We are not paying our students to post their reviews, so they're 100% authentic. We're very proud of what students have to share about us. So just have a look. Course Report Nucamp on Google, and you'll find us. Next, we want to talk about our success stories. You've heard a few on the video. You can learn more on LinkedIn, and especially checking out our alumni on LinkedIn. I'll just highlight Aaron Godram, who started in Tacoma as a truck driver and then became a software QA engineer in Seattle. And then Lindsay Gillespie, who actually, thanks to a special program for disabled individuals, was able to really join us. And moved later to Dallas to get a job in the industry. What's great is she's now in Dallas and still part of our Dallas community, even though actually she started, Irvine in Texas, even though she started in Tacoma as well. So again, more success stories are available on our alumni group in LinkedIn. And with that, we are ready now for your questions. There's a nice list already, and so we're just gonna go through them, and feel free to add your questions there, and hopefully we'll get to all of them in time.
Yeah, so thanks for your questions. Hey, Ludo, do you want to take the first one from Feats fan Bob? He's mentioning he has a background in system as a system administrator, and so some background in coding. So how does that prepare him for our bootcamp?
Yeah, so being in the IT industry helps. And I would say from a career development standpoint, upward mobility is going to be helpful to you. It's easier to find a job in your own industry than to change industries, obviously. With very limited knowledge of coding, I will suggest that you look into our Web Development Fundamentals Bootcamp, the 4-week one. That will actually give you the tools to prepare yourself for the rest. And so, yeah, absolutely, you can be successful in our program as long as you acquire those basic skills that we teach in the 4-week bootcamp.
All right, and Giovanni asking a pretty broad question. What is new this year compared to last year? But I'll take that opportunity to share. I think an important thing is, again, part of our social mission is trying to make our bootcamps available and accessible as broadly as possible. So what we have changed is that we now have a model where we're offering our bootcamp via video conference by default in over 200 cities, around 200 cities across the US. Because initially we thought we're going to do only in presence. And what we found out is that unfortunately in some cities, there are just not enough students ready to register at this point. Either it's a smaller city or we're not well known enough. And so it was frustrating for students because we had to cancel. We have a minimum requirement just to be able to pay our instructor and just our costs. So that was not a great experience for our students. So we've changed that. We're offering now to deliver this via video conference across the US. And where we have enough demand, of course, we deliver that in presence. And I'll mention that our video conference-based boot camps are now really well thought through. And so it's a very similar experience to the in-present experience. Everything is similar except for the workshop on Saturday. And so the workshop on Saturday is similar in a way. You meet with one instructor during your whole class. You actually see the instructor, you see the other students, but you're in a video conference format. You're also grouped with students from your local community. We make sure that we don't split students from a given community across different online classes. That way, if you want to meet with your fellow students physically, if they're only like 2 or 3, you can do that. And that sort of helps build a sort of a local network as well. So that's what's new in 2020 that you can take advantage of.
I'll add to that. We are in presence in 25 cities. So we have a very nice footprint as well for in-presence bootcamp if you're lucky to be in those locations. From a curriculum standpoint, I'd like to highlight that we have actually a brand new curriculum. That actually is getting really great responses from our students. So that's also something that we want to highlight. We used to actually partner with a third party for our curriculum at the very beginning of Nucamp. We've taken the feedback from students and the learnings, and we've actually almost done updating it with our own and with great results. And also, we're not getting younger. I think
that's
probably
the last piece. Yes, unfortunately. But thanks for mentioning the curriculum. That's a really important piece too. Yeah. You're absolutely right. So we have a lot of questions on what's going on specifically in this city or this community. We're not going to go through each of them because first of all, we don't have the 200 in mind, top of mind here. But I really encourage you to go through the community page of the city or that you're interested in. You'll find all the info on that page. And let me just explain this a little bit better. If you go to your community page, so click on community, or if you're already the name of the city already appears, just click on that and then look at the schedule and see if you see a label that says remote workshop, or if there is no label there. That will indicate whether the next class is being delivered physically or if it's via video conference. So you can know pretty quickly what happens there. And right now, again, we have about 25 cities where we operate physically. And then all the other communities for now are via video conference. And as demand builds, obviously we will be adding more in-presence experiences. We're already recruiting instructors there. And then as soon as we have enough students, we'll move to be fully in presence.
Alma Garcia Tuya about for someone like me who has beginning experience via Code Academy, can I enroll in Fullstack, or should I start with the beginners? So we actually have a test. We have a 25 questions test that's going to help you answer that exact question. You'll find the test on our website. Look for the FAQ on our website. And if you pass the test with a success rate of 85% or higher, you are ready to enroll directly in Fullstack. If you don't, that means you have work to do before joining. And so you can consider our 4 weeks bootcamp, or you can maybe actually learn the Delta on your own online. That's also perfectly fine, as long as you really pass the test successfully before enrolling.
Yeah, and Felicia, also, I think there's a few people on the call that are actually applying to be instructors. So just want to address that. Even if you are in a community where we're not yet delivering physically, you can still apply because we're looking for instructors to help with our video conference-based boot camps. And then, obviously, as we move to in-person, there'll be opportunities to be part of the instructor community locally. So don't hesitate to apply, even if we're not running physical boot camps yet in your community.
Giovanni is asking about.
Before we go there, we got
okay.
a full stack. You want to clarify what full stack means?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So full stack means you will know how to build user experiences. By that, I mean the website or the mobile app and the look and feel of that. And you will know how to build what we call the back end. So where your database is going to be, how you're going to store the data, how you're going to retrieve the data, and all of that. So really full stack means pretty much everything under the sun in a way. Front end means only the user experience aspect of it. So websites, mobile apps, but you will rely on someone to kind of handle the data in the back end.
Maybe just what the words come from, right? Full stack is the full stack of frameworks and languages that you need to build a website end to end. You know, front end just refers to what you see, what's in front of you. When you look at a website, you know, back end obviously is you know, what's behind the scenes, what's on the server side. At least, yeah, that's how I think about it. So cities in Florida, I think we addressed. We are present physically in Orlando, by the way.
That's Orlando, yeah. I don't think we have no,
not in presence for now. And hey, by the way, I love the interaction between you know, Frank here and I think Steve talking on the chat. I was looking at that while Ludo was speaking, and just a good sort of example of what happens later as part of your boot camp. You will be also on Slack with a lot of other students, and I didn't mention that, but there's a lot of sort of connections that take place, support that takes place, you know, students helping each other. And that's really important because as you'll you know, come to learn, that is actually part of the skills you need to develop as a web developer, is, you know, how to collaborate, how to, you know, ask for help, you know, get help with your peers. So moving to actual questions here.
Casey, no. Actually, so
Yeah,
Joy,
that's a good one.
Joy, what level of,
yeah, go ahead.
What level of difficulty does full stack course start at? It's with Bootstrap, and it's, I would say, the right level of difficulty. So really, students don't feel too challenged with Bootstrap. It's actually very easy to use. The challenge comes with React, and so really, it's the level of difficulty really increases with Bootstrap, React, and actually goes down afterwards. Once you pass React, you feel like everything starts to make sense, and you actually enjoy your learning even more because you feel like you're getting it now.
Yeah, so Casey, your question is about, you know, how well prepared will you be coming out of Nucamp's program versus competition? You want to talk maybe about the curriculum, and then, you know, I have a...
Yeah, so it's a little bit tough to say. So you will be as prepared as we think you need to be to find a job in the industry. You'll have in length more time typically than for in-person experience. So full stack for us is 22 weeks. Typically, an in-person experience will be like 2 months, right? So 8 weeks or 10. 10 weeks, 8 weeks or 10 weeks. So the amount of time you're going to spend in a way is spread out. It's not exactly similar hour by hour, but you're going to have also more time to really, I would say, internalize the knowledge. There's a lot that needs to happen in the process of learning for you to really mature it and internalize it every day. And you have a better chance of doing that over the course of 22 weeks than if it's really packed jam, 10 hours a day, and every day brings you another set of new concepts and knowledge. So I'll say it's probably equivalent in a way. Now, I will also say I don't know all the details of what Hack Rector or App Academy or Thinkful are providing, but our aim is to prepare you to get a job, and our curriculum achieves that.
Yeah, I think what I would add is just in terms of you know, the content. The curriculum itself is a very strong curriculum. It's as deep as what you will find with competition. And quite frankly, the full stack curriculum is pretty well defined across the industry. So it's not like there's something you'll learn different. It's just, you know, how much time you're going to be spending getting into the depth of it, and also how practical it's going to be. So again, our instructors are from the industry. which I think makes it, very helpful to gain practical skills. And again, we take the time in those 22 weeks to address really the topics and the concepts in depth. What I will say though is that it is a part-time program, so it's a lot of work for you. We want to set expectations. You need to spend 2 hours per day. If it's React, maybe even a little bit more, if you really want to get through the program and acquire the right skills to get a job. And we'll get to some of the questions there. Yes, you can definitely get a job, but you have to put the effort in. And if you think about it, if you put 2 to 3 hours per day plus the work on the weekend, it actually adds up to a lot of hours and explains why we're able to compete with those full-time programs.
I think the next question is going to be, Christopher, are the co-working spaces available to students beyond the Saturday meetup?
Yeah, and they are not. And I will explain why. It is because we want to keep our costs very low for you, for students to benefit that low price point. So one way we do this is we negotiate with co-working spaces agreements just to be there during that class in the morning. And so with that, they give us a really good price point, and that we can pass that on to the students. And they do that because they're mostly empty on the weekend, right? They don't use up their capacity by providing those co-working spaces for us on the Saturday. So unfortunately, they are not available the rest of the week. But in some cases, they actually like to have students, and so they'll maybe give you a discount, or you can talk to them based on what city you're in to be there during the week. But that's on your side to discuss with them.
Joey is asking about consuming REST APIs for our applications. Absolutely, that's actually the backend module. That's the technology called Node.js and Express. You'll be actually building REST APIs to consume data from your database. The database will be MongoDB. You'll also have learned how to fetch data from other REST APIs that are not necessarily yours. But for those of you who are actually a little bit technical out there, you'll be creating routes, REST API for HTTP post, GET, and all that, and all the way down to how it's going to impact your database in retrieving data or saving data and things like that.
So Casey, a great question. What are the behaviors exhibited by students who find themselves employed the quickest after graduating? I think it's a sort of pretty simple answer. They're basically the most sort of dedicated and the most serious students in terms of learning the skills and going through all the curriculum in depth. So those are the students that don't miss their workshop. Get not just the assignments done, but take advantage of the additional resources that are made available to them. That actually will sometimes also spend time helping other students, because it's a great way also to sort of develop your own skills. And then, yeah, they'll just put in the time and effort. It's a demanding program. And so at the end of the day, I think the biggest criteria for success is the effort and dedication you put in.
Yeah.
Ludo, anything else?
No, I think no. That's exactly that. That's exactly that. And it's not straightforward. Like you all have jobs, or you're all busy during the week. Our bootcamp is part-time because we appreciate that. And so we work a lot to give you the structure to keep that motivation up. And we also offer options for you if like life happens and you actually can't continue for like a few weeks. We give you the opportunity to, for example, switch to the next cohort. So give you like a 5 weeks breathing room and then resume. So all those things we've
you're right. We put a lot in place to try to be helpful, because we understand that things happen. You might get some sort of project at work, or a family emergency or whatever. So we can definitely help with that to make sure that you're in the best condition to put all the right effort in. One thing I want to add maybe at this point is, we have students coming in that know they want to do it. They're, committed from the beginning. They've already, spent maybe 6 months, going through that sort of transition and thinking that they want to make that step. they go into one of the advanced boot camps because they've done a little bit of online, and they're fully committed from the get-go. That's great. Their chances of success is pretty high. We have a lot of students that don't know yet. They're just wondering. They don't even know if it's a career for them, and that's okay too. That's why we have our intro boot camp of 4 weeks. That's an opportunity for you to just understand what coding is about. See if you enjoy it, because it's a long program. If you don't actually enjoy it, it's going to be hard to make it through. So and it's an acquired taste. I mean, you might not enjoy the very first week, but by the end of the 4 weeks, you'll get a pretty good feel whether this is something you want to continue to do for another 17 or 22, or whether this was a great experience. You learned a little bit. You're more familiar. It doesn't seem as strange and magical to you, but you've also realized that it's not for you, and that's perfectly okay. Part of our mission is to help people also sort of figure out whether this is for them or not. So we really encourage you, if you have no background, you have no idea, take the intro bootcamp. Just a great way to sort of get some knowledge about this industry.
All right, Steve Stout asking about, given your experience with Bootstrap, will you make it through even though your JavaScript experience is minimal? You will have to brush up on JavaScript. As you seem to realize, React is really, really heavy on JavaScript, and will help you with that. I would actually suggest, since you already signed up, do some JavaScript online courses now. Look into DOM manipulation. If you've heard about jQuery, but look into how you actually use JavaScript to manipulate the DOM, and look into the basics of JavaScript and programming, for loops, data, variables, conditions with if statements. I mean, just refresh yourself in that space, because we'll go pretty deep in JavaScript. And yes, you'll. I mean, we'll teach you that, but it's going to be important for you to learn that.
All right, Frank. Frank's likes like to be back end rather than front end. That's very perfectly fine. Again, very different types of jobs, and again, you'll learn a lot more about that as you go through the program. Hey, Jordan, potential instructor for Nucamp. Thanks for being on the call. Again, it's great to have, as I mentioned earlier, somebody that has a coding bootcamp background. That is actually very helpful when we for students actually, so that they can help them with that sort of experience. And I think
next one is probably Amanda McKee about shadowing a Saturday class. Do you want to take that one?
Oh yeah. So unfortunately, we don't offer any shadowing. It's just challenging logistically, and it's also somewhat problematic for the students and the instructor that are in the class. And those are very small classes. You have to realize we're 12 students. The dynamic of the class is really important, and so we try to really avoid that kind of sort of distraction, if you like. And again, I hope you appreciate that. Again, what I would suggest is look through the reviews, get a feel for what the experience has been for the other students, see if that matches your expectation. And then perhaps, take the intro bootcamp. It's not a huge amount of money, even though we realize that, for many it's still significant. And that way you can get a feel for not only if you want to do it, but also what our format is like and whether you like it. Quite frankly, if you go through the intro bootcamp and after a week or so, you find it horrible, you hate it, it's absolutely not for you, come and talk to us. We'll make it right for you. Our goal is that you're fully satisfied with our program. All right.
Do you want to take this one?
Which one are we? What's the success rate? That's a really hard one. We get it every time, and it's hard for us because, well, first of all, we don't measure it precisely today yet, I will say, and let me explain a little bit why. So majority of other boot camps, you're basically unemployed, you quit your job, you go through the boot camp, and then you're actively looking for a job as you end your boot camp. And then, the promise of these boot camps is you pay $12,000, you better get a job when you're done. For us, it's very different. People work in parallel. They are employed, most of them. And when they graduate, they don't immediately transition to a new job. Some do, but it's not the majority. A lot actually sort of transition into doing more coding. They might start projects on their own with clients. They might help out someone. And then, they might get a job actually for Aaron, for example, I think it was like maybe 6 months later. So we don't have an immediate graduation and then, get into a job situation there. For others, they actually don't even want to change jobs immediately, right? They're, in systems, for example, systems administration, they want to acquire that knowledge to move up internally. So long answer to say that we don't have a ton of statistics, but again, we have really good, strong examples that I encourage you to look at to see if it matches your situation. So, can you, dedicate time to this program is the first question you should ask yourself. If you're really serious about getting a job right after the graduation, you should put in a lot of time and effort so that by the end of the bootcamp, you're really fully comfortable, with the sort of body of knowledge that we're giving you. The other piece is, I guess is how much time are you going to be able to invest in looking for a job while you do the bootcamp? If you're, working full time, it's tough. It's tough to find a search for a job, let alone search for a job and acquire new skills at the same time. So again, the statistics there don't reflect your specific situation. You need to think about what you're going to put in, how much time you can dedicate to the bootcamp, to the job search. What we will tell you is that if you put the effort, yes, absolutely, you can find a job when you graduate. And then the last thing I want to mention is the jobs that are on the market. They're not, they're skill based. So at the end of the day, if you have the right skills, you show up for that interview with a strong project portfolio, you demonstrate your capabilities, and you have decent soft skills, you're likely to get a job. This is not a sales role where it's, it has a lot to do with your past experience, your soft skills, recommendations. It's very technically oriented, and that's, it's a better level playing field for everyone. So put in the effort, acquire the skills, and yes, you'll be in a good spot to land a job after your bootcamp.
Quick question, and by the way, Frank, thank you for answering so many of the questions out there, and very much spot on most of the time, or almost actually all the time, I will say. Question from Chris Scott. My daughter is 15 years old. Can she take the course? Unfortunately, no. We need actually individuals to be adults, so 18 years old when they start the bootcamp. We're actually only 5 minutes away from the end of the hour now. So
you're right. Let's speed it up.
If I want to do front-end and layer during the week, continue with full stack, how many weeks will be left over? So actually, there's a week break between front-end and full stack. So you can just decide to upgrade and then continue on just a week later. Question from Marcos Rodriguez. Been going back and forth between signing up to Nucamp or a more traditional bootcamp. Can you actually tell us which other bootcamps you're considering? It'll help us. What is the main difference?
So yeah, it's a good wrap up question, I guess, to wrap up this meeting. But there's a lot of differences. Again, I think to be fair to other boot camps, there are great traditional full-time boot camps out there with a really strong curriculum. I want to say if you need a full-time program to stay committed, if you can afford the tuition, and if you're in a place where it's available, go ahead, do it. We have no problem with that. We want you to be successful. If quitting your job, if paying $12,000 or more, is not possible for you, but you still want to get the same level of depth in curriculum, you want to get a structured program, you want to put all the chances on your side to be successful, I think Nucamp is the way to go. We're a very different program from traditional boot camps. So, our format is different. I think our culture is a little bit different. Our instructors are very different. But at the end of the day, those are two good ways to acquire skills. It's really what works best for you.
I will add to that, and you just mentioned culture. I mean, we're not going to sell the culture, of course, but because of our approach, we have chosen to be transparent and honest in everything that we do. Other bootcamps have to justify their high fee. They have to justify asking you to quit your job. And so some of them tend to overpromise on what's possible out there after you finish. We, from the beginning, have decided not to do that. And so that's part of our culture. That's part of our social mission. Yeah, so that's, I think, also the main difference.
Yeah, I think one thing I don't think we mentioned enough is perhaps, you know, our clear sort of message here is we will get you prepared to get into the industry. You will have access to a junior level position in that industry. We're not over-promising in telling you you're going to get a job at Microsoft, you know, competing with computer science degree students. So yeah, again, it's a matter of you know, what works for you then in terms of format to get there.
Yeah.
We're almost on the hour, so you know, maybe time to wrap up.
Yeah.
Maybe don't forget, early bird is coming up soon. Don't miss it. Every deadline date we get that email, hey, I missed the deadline, can you do anything? And it's really hard because it's a highly automated system. So make sure you register early. We make it easy for you to cancel if there's a problem. So don't hesitate there.
Next Monday.
Next Monday. It is next Monday. It is, remember that it is a monthly payment plan, so you don't have to shell out the 1,700 or so in one time. It's actually about $350 per month or per payment. So we make it easy. So remember to do that. We are always available. If you have more questions, you forgot something, shoot us an email at info@nucamp.co.
You can chat online, the website as well.
Absolutely. And we really look forward to having you in one of our boot camps very soon. So thanks everyone for taking the time today, and you have a great rest of your week.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.